Good day, listeners from around the world. This is your host, James Jordan, for this edition of the Wide World of Motorsports podcast, recorded for the week of June 27th, 2021. Our show is simulcast on 102.7 Radio Waterloo and soon to be 107.3 Fresh FM in St. John. Joining me is Michael Wallace, co-host of the Wide World of Motorsports, and let's just kick it off. Mazda. That's all I got to say.
Yeah,
Fuel strategy
two
playing
years
effect
ago,
this weekend.
2 years ago, Mazda got in their current form, got their maiden win in IMSA WeatherTech competition at the 6 Hours of the Glen, and what was unknown then but became the summer of Mazda, because they went on to win. They drove to Canada and they won at Mosport, and then they missed the next round, which was at Lime Rock, because that's a GT only round, and they went on to win further on in the year. But yeah, I mean, it's great this is it for Mazda, I think. I know this is it for Mazda as we know it right now. The team, Mazda's not supporting the program anymore. Not that they really supported it a whole lot before, like financially, I mean, like, emotionally or technically they supported them, but it was very much they were on their own. But this will be, I'm pretty sure that this is it for them for now until
that's the
Mazda
word
decides.
on the street.
Yeah, and until Mazda decides if they're going to run, in the an LMDH car. So you never know.
Right. Second consecutive victory at Watkins. Harry Tinknell. Am I getting that right?
Harry Tinknell.
He's stretched his final tank of fuel for more than 45 minutes on Sunday, and that got him the win.
Yeah.
Teamed with Oliver Jarvis and Jonathan Bommarito.
Yeah.
Ran out of fuel on the cooldown lap and needed a ride to victory lane. Actually, I think he was in the boot, and he got out. I think I saw him he got out. He walked up to the fence, and I think someone gave him a bottle of water. They had a headset on with the microphone on. They must have been a spotter or something. But it was cool. His Uber arrived, is what the commentator said. Is like, your Uber is here. Or someone in the comments said, or I just stole their line. I should have took credit for it. Damn.
Nice.
I should have just jacked it. But it was the first victory this season and sixth victory in DPI for Mazda Motorsports.
Mm-hmm.
And it's second at Watkins, where in 2019 the victory started a 3-race winning streak. In 2020, the race was canceled because of the restrictions in New York State at the time, not making it possible. Yeah. With Mazda announcing its exit, that's just imagine just kind of leaving on top. That's a good feeling, I bet.
Yeah, and they got plenty more. They got this weekend. They could get another one this weekend. They got a lot. They're going to a lot of tracks that they have a chance at. Let's just put it that way.
He finished 0.96 seconds ahead of Olivier Pla.
Olivier Pla
in the Acura, number 60 Acura. Ricky Taylor and Felipe Albuquerque in the number 10 Acura rounded out the top three there. The Action Express, though, a little bit of a questionable day there. The number 31 Cadillac, the number 48 Ally Cadillac. Jimmy Johnson, Kamui Kobayashi, and Simon Pagano. They ended up getting a fifth because of some penalties, or specifically from Kobayashi at the end of the race, which was a time penalty. He gained 2 spots, Kobayashi, on the final lap to cross the line of fourth, but yeah, he kind of took out Magnussen. I mean, like,
Yeah,
it was avoidable contact. He could have avoided the situation, but
that's that's how they'll look at it.
But that
as
rounded out the
avoidable
DPIs for GTLM.
contact.
Antonio
It's-
Garcia,
Yeah.
co-driving number 3 C8R with Jordan Taylor, fended off a BMW of John Edwards to deliver Corvette Racing its 116th career victory and first at Watkins since 2014.
And know what's crazy about that is Jordan's
First Watkins win.
first Watkins win, which is really that's really hard to believe.
He's dissing
to be
himself
honest
about
with
that
you.
on social media. It was funny.
Yeah, like he's won. I mean, he's won everything, right? He's won
Right.
Le Mans. He's won Le Mans with Corvette. He's won, the Daytona 24 Hours. He's won Sebring. He's won Petit. He's won everything. And that stat blew me away. I did not realize that was going to be his first Watkins win. But good for him. That's awesome.
For the GTLM there, yeah. GTD, Bill Oberlin. He extended his IMSA record with his 64th career victory, taking the number 26 Turner Motorsports BMW to victory lane on a fuel strategy with co-drivers Robbie Foley and Aidan Reed. It was Turner Motorsports' second victory of the season and 23rd overall, fourth at Watkins. LMP2 Tristan Nunez carried the pole-sitting number 11 of Win Autosport to its first victory. Co-drivers Stephen Thomas and Thomas Merrill earned their first victories.
Yeah.
For LMP3, the number 74 of Rally Motorsports scored its third victory this season and maintained its streak of finishing on the podium of every race with drivers Felipe Fraga, Scott Andrews, and Gar Robinson.
You did good on those names. I am.
Here we go. Yeah,
mightily impressed.
I'm pretty sure I've watched every. Yeah, I've watched every race this season. Getting used to it.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
And then
good.
you know we're going to see another goodie this weekend for a couple hours. So more.
Yeah.
I love what. See, the thing is, it's like if there's going to be a replacement to most sport, it's going to have to be Watkins. So at least that's if we're going to make a deal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah. If there was anywhere else, I guess it would be. Yeah, it's got to be Watkins. How could you be upset about that?
Right. But that was a big, as we're saying earlier, big weekend for racing and the trucks. I think this was this was on Saturday, and John Hunter Nemechek passed his boss Kyle Busch on a restart with 6 laps left, pulled away to win. He crossed the finish line just about a car length or so ahead of Kyle Busch. Nemechek had led 20 laps straight after pitting 3 laps before the conclusion of stage 2. The victory was Nemechek's series best 5th of the season and his 3rd in head-to-head competition with his boss. He's beat his boss a couple of times.
Do you think he's beat off his boss a couple of times? Yeah. Do you think he goes to Cup next year? John Hunter?
Be too early. Wasn't he already? Didn't he already have dip his toes in Cup though? He's done a couple.
Yeah, but do you think he's gonna get do you think it's possible for him to get a full-time ride? Do you think there's somebody out there that would be looking for a guy like him?
No, you know what? I give him some more time. That's what I say. He ran for front row in 2019 and 2020 full time. He did not do very good in the points. He was a back of the pack guy.
Yeah, but that's
And
that's before he was.
They sent him down to the
what he
trucks
is
for
now.
a reason.
Yeah.
He's been a lot better in the trucks, and he needs more time in the trucks.
Yeah. Okay. No, I was just curious what you thought.
And you know what? He's been in the truck since 2013, and some guys are just good. It reminds me of like a Johnny Sauter. He's dipped or Crafton. Those guys have dipped into the Cup Series over the years, and it just didn't work out. And I think that's kind of a John Hunter. John Hunter's a great guy. He's actually cool. I'm pretty sure I've got his autograph or interviewed him, one of the two. But yeah, he's a good guy, and he's good in that series. I think stay where you're good. Young man. He's not really, he's 24 now, but yeah. So he's in it for a reason, and hey, I think he's making it work for Kyle Busch. Maybe, I think Xfinity. He's only done a season or so in Xfinity. He hasn't done Xfinity stuff, but he showed that he's good in the trucks. He beaten Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is like supposed to be the greatest in every series, right? So Busch had led some of that race as well, over Sheldon Creed at one point, and Stuart Friesen had a hard crash at the turn 1 wall, and that brought out the fourth caution on lap 51 of 60. So that kind of put Busch in the situation for Nemechek to be able to come up behind Creed on the inside of the front row on the restart, and it's good with strong push from Todd Gilliland, and Nemechek was just barely cleared Kyle. Why do I keep mixing them up? Busch stayed close to. He's trying to stay close until Creed started to make a bit of a mix in that, and Creed accidentally kind of he got loose and just a little bit got into Kyle, just a little bit. Kind of right. Yeah, that kind of settled it there. Nemechek had it, and Creed, he got third, followed by Tyler Ankrum, Austin Hill, Matt Crafton, Gillen, Zane Smith, Ryan Preece, and Derek Kraus to complete the top 10. Hill's top 5 finish scored him enough points to be the first driver to clinch a spot in the playoff on points. There's only 3 races left until the playoffs already for the Truck Series. Wow. So what, do they have a race once a month? Once this month? Once in August? Early September? I don't know. Johnny Sauter's quest to make the postseason, he suffered a serious blow when the race started. They didn't even get across the finish line. Jack Wood's Chevrolet spun out of control, and contact from Chandler Smith's Toyota knocked Sauter into the outside wall near the start-finish line. So with his 35th finish, 5 laps down, fell 31 points back behind Smith in the race for the final playoff spot. So that's getting tight, and that's getting tight in the other series too, with the Xfinity Series. Austin Cindric, Ty Gibbs, both of them battled in the last lap. Cindric, who is the reigning series champion, he was able to hold off Gibbs, a new guy. He's Ty Gibbs is he won't get a cup ride, but I think he'll get a cup ride sooner than John Hunter.
100%.
Give Ty Gibbs 5 years, 4 years. He'll probably all he needs is a season in each, just in trucks and Xfinity.
The only problem with Ty is where is he going to race?
Well, there's all this talk about Kyle Busch Racing and all these other, the junior motorsports. There's always a chance that a different manufacturer can take.
You think Ty Gibbs is not going to drive for his grandfather?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there'll be space. I'm sure.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think Ty's gonna. He's never leaving Toyota, because if he leaves Toyota, I know some drivers switch around.
Some race car drivers do that, right?
Yeah,
is he that kind though?
Yeah, I feel like he's racing for.
Well, he's putting himself for sponsorship at least right now. He's going to get sponsors. He's going to be able to get sponsors, no problem. So
yeah.
But Cindric led a race high 26 laps, including the final 16 after he cycled back at the top spot at the end of a long cycle of green flag pit stops. Gibbs was more than 3 seconds behind when Cindric took the lead, but he closed rapidly in the final laps when Cindric was slowed by lap traffic. So accidents cost some contenders in that race as well. There was a hard hit from Justin Haley on the outside wall.
Oh yeah.
And, he was luckily able to come out, and he when he moved up the track, there was also some car. Well, after the getting hit from some of the cars after hitting the wall. He was luckily able to come out, but he was supposed to race in the Cup, and then he couldn't. He had to get Allgaier to fill in for him.
Well, he hit hard enough. He got out of the car and
he's completely winning.
Laid next to the car on the track. So that must have been a hard hit.
And so, Junior Motorsports, Justin Allgaier ran 4th and 5th, respectively, with AJ Allmendinger completing the top 5. Obviously, Dinger's, we all know he's having no problems adapting to different tracks now and being able to be a good driver at each type of track. So that's one thing I really took from the Xfinity race. Dinger,
right.
Saturday. It was a doubleheader. It was so much racing. 2 Cup races this past weekend. It was crazy in that finish there. Bowman had some luck. Kyle Larson blew left front tire, leading within 1 corner from the finish line. Rick Allen was saying, this guy's won, he's on a streak. This is historic. He's going to join one of 5 drivers, whatever. All that stuff, boom, tire goes. So Bowman's victory streak ended 3 straight wins for Larson, but obviously kept it within Hendrick. So Hendrick continues the streak, but that was good. Bowman also, he had a piece anyways for him. He didn't have the stuff though. He got lucky there. I would have to say that kind of was. I prefer that the first Pocono race this past weekend over the second one for a few reasons, but I obviously would have loved to see Larson win, but I think that was just like a jaw-dropping moment. That'll be on a highlight. Like you'll see that years from now. Then refer back to that. That was for sure. That was on all the highlight reels, like on ESPN Sports, all that stuff. I'm sure that was a big one. So I'll go with the highlight of the weekend. I'll go with that race over the other one, even though it was a little bit more slower. It seemed like.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and I've heard a few, read a couple of articles and heard a few people talking about it, that he was, he might have been able to prevent that from happening. He was apparently running the apron a little harder than everybody else was.
Okay.
And it was led to him wearing out the front tire more. So I don't know.
He had to start from the rear on Sunday.
Yeah. I know he still finished second, right?
He finished. He finished in the top 10. He still secured a top 10 finish.
Okay.
But he had to that kind of hurt. That hurt him through Sunday because it took him a bit to climb up through the field. And starting from the back, there was a couple other cars that started from the back with him as well. But ultimately, he finished second on Sunday, so it wasn't too bad for him on Sunday. With Kyle Busch sticking out through the race, he had issues with his car. He was stuck in 4th gear. He had to hold his gear. He had to hold the shifter in place, or else it was slipping. So some guy had to jump in, and I'm joking, like Kyle's freaking out. Gotta go! No, screw it! I'm just going. I literally thought he was just gonna take off in Death Proof. I don't know if you've seen Death Proof.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they got in their old school, got a freaking bungee around it, fixed it, sort of, I guess. But yeah, he had to deal with that, and they were even gonna pack it up at one point, and he said it on the radio, but they didn't, and they stuck out. He's, through perseverance. He could have said something inspirational at the end of the race, but he just laughed. I think he literally laughed it off. He's like, I don't know, like that. Literally like that. I'm pretty sure, but whatever. That's cool. After William Byron and Denny Hamlin ran out of gas out of behind him, Busch was way ahead of Larson, and Larson started from the rear, being up there on fuel strategy. A lot of guys up there in fuel strategy. There's a lot of really great strategy at Pocono. I love it. With Busch, with this win, Busch snapped Hendrick Motorsports' 6-race Cup winning series streak. So
they'll be happy about that.
Yeah, and Larson also on a fuel saving strategy in the closing laps. He was able to get a runner-up finish after early contact with Hemlin's car, with denting his nose. So that affected him throughout the race. That's another thing that Larson was able to also kind of persevere through, and he had his hood raised a little bit, and that they pounded damage out. But
so that's something that's been talked about the Chevys in particular, and in particular the Hendrick Chevys, is that they have there's an edge there, and they're not doing anything illegal, because if they were, they would have been caught by now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's been whispers that it's the nose. So I didn't realize this, but Chevrolet was the last team to have their car updated, and then they froze the car, development of the cars, right? Because they're developing the new car.
Yeah.
So they were the last ones to be developed, and Hendrick has apparently figured out something with the nose. And this is one of the things. So, with Kyle getting damage to his front end, you could see that he just couldn't run it. Like, they weren't dominant at this track like they have been in the season. I know they were up front running 1-2 until Kyle's tire blew in the first race. But the other rumor of that is that they did get caught, and they've been told don't come back with it. That's what I've heard. Not like I'm like in the know or anything, but that I've just heard in a couple spots, or have read it, that there might have been something along that lines of, NASCAR figured it out and said, no, don't bring it back, and that's why they were slower this week. But Pocono is a bit of an anomaly, I think. Also, the cars are up. I think the Chevys are up they're up a total like 15 or 16 horsepower, but they were down. I think last year they were down 4 or 5, so they're really only up 10 horsepower. Apparently, that's making a difference too.
That's a thing.
What's that? Horsepower difference?
I wasn't aware that other teams had horsepower difference.
Yeah. There's a bit of a there's a bit of a. They're trying. Everyone's trying to, like, NASCAR is trying to get them close together, right? Like in sports car racing, we call it BOP, balance of performance. There's balance. People hate balance of performance. They think it's ruined the sports, but balance of performance has kind of always been there, probably just under different names. So, of course, NASCAR, what do you think, like, the Ford, the Chevy, and the Toyota, they template them, right? And they're all supposed to be the same, give or take, right? I think with these current gen cars, there's little variances, so they just have a tolerance, right? You need to fit within our box, and Toyota's a little bit different than the Chevys, and the Chevys are a little different than the Fords, but they all fit in that box. That's a form of balance of performance, making the cars equal.
Right.
And so when it comes down to like engines, and just on a side note, I'm really talking a bit out of my ass because I'm not 100% sure on any of this. I am taking things that I've heard, and I am putting other things together of how I understand the sports work. So, but to get back on it, their engines, that's harder to police and get like, well, this engine is only going to produce 400 horsepower, and this engine's only going to produce 400 horsepower. Well, engine A could produce 402, and engine B could produce 398. It's really down to materials and how that piston is closer in the allowance than that piston, right? So which piston's going to run better, right? So it's all these little things put it together, so there's fluctuation. Although 10 horsepower is a big fluctuation, especially in NASCAR, especially when you got straightaways, right? And
yeah.
they pull, they still pull. So anyway, sorry about that. That was really
I never realized that was a thing that concerns me.
it shouldn't.
Thanks. I wish I should have known that too. But I also wish that it was fair for everybody. But I mainly wish I feel like I should have known that.
Wow, how do you know it? Like, I just recently learned some of that. I recently learned some of those things. Like, I didn't always know that. I didn't realize they were big things like that. So, big differences sometimes like that. But yeah, you can't know everything. And like I said, I mean, I don't. Fortunately, this isn't my job, so I can't be on top of every single thing and dig deep or whatnot. I just get to read articles and read
the word on the
magazines
street.
And yeah, you know, you listen to other podcasts and you hear them talk about it. You listen to interviews of people that are in the know, and you know, sometimes it's just the little like promo shit that a team puts out. 3-minute YouTube video, and you might learn something like, oh, I didn't really, I didn't realize that. Like you knew part A, you knew A, and you knew C, and you knew those two very well, but you didn't realize that it was B that links them together, and now they make even more. You're like, oh, that. And then you start thinking back, well, that's how that works.
Right.
Oh, you know what I mean? And it could just be some little tidbit of information that you missed.
Maybe I just want to hope that maybe I just didn't think about looking into it or didn't put it together because I was just hoping that wasn't a thing.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think teams are always looking for in any racing series. Teams are always looking for advantages, and they're always looking to, as I've heard it put before, optimize, quote unquote, the car. So, you know, there any advantage or any area that a team can exploit that another team doesn't know about and can get past the officials to gain an advantage, they're going to do it. I mean, Dale Jr. says it best. He goes, I don't know if I've ever driven an illegal car. How did he put that? I don't know if I've ever driven illegal an illegal car, or I've never won a race in a legal car or something like that. And he always hoped that his crew chiefs were pushing the envelope because that's what they're supposed to do. I mean, Gordon said it too. He never wanted. When they asked him about Ray before, like, was Ray always? What do you think about Ray always pushing the boundaries and working in the gray area? And Jeff's response wasn't that what he's supposed to do?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So.
And Ray's talked a lot about that. He's not I guess to paraphrase him, but he's said the same thing basically.
Yeah.
And you hear that from other crew chiefs like Larry Mack and all these other, you know, you hear them
Andy
talk
Petrie.
about that. Yeah, exactly.
Andy Petrie had a really good interview with Dale Jr. and some of the stuff that they talked about running trick carburetors to allow more fuel, air and fuel into the car at, you know, Daytona and stuff like that, like cutting apart and building in, like, I'm assuming veins and channels through the intake manifolds and then welding it all back together and putting it all back together so they can't see it, right? Like stuff like that. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah. That's well, with a track like Pocono, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
And Cup, you know, or any of the top 3 NASCAR series, it's a big thing. And And luckily enough, it's not, all those rules. Sometimes it's nice for boundaries to be like, it's nice to have boundaries, but with all these rules, sometimes people have difficulties, finding fun with that stuff. And I think with what the SRX has done is they've kind of, especially with Ray Havernam, who's made the cars, and is actively on pit road fixing them and managing them and stuff. I think that's secretly what people want. And that's why you see the stands so packed. And
I mean, that's what
Saturday Night Racing.
SRX is what I think a lot of NASCAR, the NASCAR fans have been asking for, right? They want more short tracks, and SRX said, "Okay, here you go. We'll put some of the best guys or biggest names that in the series, and
I love it
in series, and we'll have them race against each other." Now, I'm curious what it would be like if I don't want to take anything away from the drivers that are in it, and I'm talking about the older drivers. I'm not going to say any names, so I can have plausible deniability, so you can figure it out for yourself. But there's some older drivers that I'm quite curious about, is if they replace them with other drivers, how the series would be. Like, would it be more intense? Like, Stewart was so dominant at Eldora, like, it wasn't even fair. And you just wonder if there was other drivers, more drivers to his caliber, if he would have walked away from it, or walked away with it like he did. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But people know that going into, like, they knew that when Eldora was announced as part of the SRX, one of the tracks. I think people, it's like people who watch wrestling. They know it's scripted. They know what's going to happen, but they still watch it. So even if it's like that or not, like, if they change the drivers every race or not, I think people are going to watch it either way. But the ratings do show that it was close to the ratings for the Saturday Cup race. Not really close to the Sunday Cup race, but close enough. So there's probably a lot of the same crowd, but I'm guessing it was, with how it shows. The unique part of it to me is that it showcases short tracks, or like, in quotes, local short tracks, because for some people that's their local short track. So and that it's so much of a short season that maybe next year I would hope, maybe Bill Elliott will maybe he'll say, this isn't, or maybe nothing against Willie T. Ribbs actually did good this past week. But Paul Tracy did good. But I'm trying to think of,
even
Mikey's,
Marco. Like, I was super
good.
I was super impressed with Marco, and winning the first heat. Like, Marco hasn't won shit in years, and he wins a race on dirt. Like, I was actually kind of blown away by it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it was good. I get more excited watching it, and they did a good job in the booth. I kind of missed Danica this past Saturday night, but it was okay with Hinch.
I think Hinch did a fantastic job.
He was able to do a little bit of broadcasting last season with NBC for the IndyCar series, so I'm sure he's had I bet he's had a bit more of a. I mean, like, Danica's done the Indy 500s, but I'm sure there's a bit more of a. I'm sure he went through more of a crash course than Danica has.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to take this as, like, I came up with it, but I saw it because I saw a tweet of it,
right?
Saying that Hinch should be a serious consideration as a replacement for Gordon in the booth. and
That'd be cool.
I thought he did a really good job. I thought he was super knowledgeable in that stuff.
I feel like there's times where Alan was just he was kind of just letting him go, like have the keys go, because there was and I think Alan was kind of doing that too with Danica, but I noticed he had to kind of pick up I could tell he had to kind of pick up the pace. But I don't care about it. I just hit puberty thinking about it too.
Yeah, apparently.
I enjoy her presence and her style, and she makes me laugh. And she, if someone can make you laugh, then, that's someone you should probably like, I guess. I'm trying to say I have a man crush on, or have a woman crush Wednesday on Danica Patrick. But yeah, I'm sure hopefully she'll be back. And I hope that they didn't replace her, because she was they thought all the people on the internet was mad that she wasn't good enough. Not that it'd be nice to see Hinch do another one of those, but
yeah, it would be.
But as you said earlier, like with Tony Stewart, he drove from the back he drove from the back on the final start, from the feature, and there was a couple times where he even spun out and had to drive back, but he
did that in the first heat. He was caught up in everybody's mess in the first heat, and he literally just drove to the front again. He fended off
the local hero Cody Swanson, though.
Yeah, which is pretty good and good for Cody. That I really like that they do that with the SRX, that they bring these local guys in to ply their trade and show what they have. Because I heard, and maybe you have heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Doug Colby get in a truck ride out of that?
So yeah,
that's huge. That's pretty big time for a guy like him, right? Who's been a modified guy his whole career, and has a regular 9-to-5 job during the week, that he can come out here, beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Indy 500s.
Well, everyone, I'm on Twitter, and all the Cup guys, everyone's watching it, and obviously because it's racing. But I feel like this is it's like the old IROC series. I feel like you have to watch. It's like the All-Star. I feel like it's the true All-Star kind of race.
They're probably watching it going, damn, I wish we could go do that.
And that's great, because then when they race a local guy, they'll be texting, like if Denny went in, and he'd be like, hey, MJ, we need this guy to, you know what I mean? Something like that could, and that basically, I'm not sure exactly where Doug Colby's running, but or what with who, but awesome for him. And
I don't know. Yeah, good for him.
I'm sure again with Cody Swanson, maybe we'll see in a couple weeks. You'll hear something about him. But with Tony Stewart scoring his second win in the SRX series Saturday night at Eldora, it showed he put together the series, but at the same time, it's showing that he's able to still compete and win. And I think Eldora was a little obvious, though. It's a bit of easy for him, but last week, 2 weeks ago, that was,
I don't know. I think
that
with
Slinger or whatever it was,
Knoxville. I think of how it went at Knoxville. Really, so I had this. I was watching the first heat, and I was watching Tony, who was caught up in a couple wrecks, literally just drive around the cars on the outside like they were standing still. And I went, did Tony Stewart just create a series so he could go out and win a championship? That was a legitimate thought in my head.
Well, he basically said that.
He just built this so he could go win.
But he said it to win it with people who he want, either his friends or people that he hasn't been able to race with before. And he basically said that in an interview, but in a fun, cool way.
Okay,
I didn't obviously Tony Stewart.
Obviously, I didn't.
Yeah, you were right though. That was good. You're on track. Yeah. No, you're good.
Yeah, for not even knowing that,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is kind of how I like it.
That's
Legit
smoke,
came into my
I feel
head
like.
going, yeah. I'm like, this is all well and cool. But what's next? What's next for SRX?
Well,
what is
so they
like? Where do they go from here?
Oh, I'm sure
After this season,
they'll probably
the same
just
thing.
Not fix what's or you know, yeah. The term goes, don't fix something that's not broken.
Right, but
I say it's fine the way it
is.
Change the drivers, obviously, like not completely, but it'd be nice to see maybe. Nothing against Bill Elliott, but he had a crappy luck though. So we'll see what he has the rest of the season. Maybe he's got something. We'll see.
I don't know. I just think I think they got to do something different because
maybe after
this
years.
Is good. I don't know. I think they got to do it sooner than that. I really do. I really feel like they need to.
Maybe if we're giving a little less credit to the fan base, that maybe they'll get sick of it quicker.
Well, okay, no, but what is it? Right? It's a racing series that races on dirt ovals and asphalt ovals, yeah. All short tracks. They get a bunch of guys that are, some are current drivers and some are retired drivers, to go out and race. And of course people want to watch that. Like of course I watch it. I love it. I think it's great because it's like the IROC, but this is only good for so long. Like they can't use the same drivers next year. Maybe they can use a couple of them, but I don't think they can use any of the same. A lot of the same drivers. So who do you get? Right? I think you're going to start slowly run out of drivers that people will want to see. Like, okay, I want to see Hinch in SRX. That'd be great. He'd be probably very entertaining. He's a good driver. And it would make me want to watch. But at some point there's got to be more, I think. And maybe that's why IROC
it's patterned. So here's going back to a couple more things that Ray and Tony have said. They said they wanted to create SRX to provide a platform for drivers from multiple disciplines to be able to race and identically prepare cars. So go back a few minutes to when we were talking about the difference of horsepower in NASCAR. Well, obviously it's like that, as you said, in IMSA and other motorsports. Well, that gives them at least the drivers the chance to. I don't think they'll, in that case, they probably won't run out of drivers because so many guys will want to race it. But being patterned after IROC, there is also constant drivers in IROC too, like every year, like Terry Labonte, Dale Earnhardt, you name it.
That's true. That is true. And I'm wondering what accounts for that. Like, why? I want to know what happened to why.
There's 30 some odd seasons of that too, IROC.
I know. Why is it stopped? What stopped?
Remember Rock?
It?
There's just the Race of Champions the last few years. They go to like stadiums and there'll be like little layouts at like.
No, that's something different.
No, I know.
That was the international race of champions.
Yeah.
Race of Champions, but it was only as of really late that they had any real Americans in it. Before it was always European guys.
Yeah.
And
I don't even think it exists
won
anymore.
all of them.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think COVID killed it.
Yeah,
I think COVID killed it. Yeah. But I'm not trying to shit on the series because I really think it's good.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the longevity of it and maybe they need to throw in road course. I mean, the old IROCs had it. Like, if you go way back, they had it. They used to race like Willow Springs, and I think they did Watkins Glen one year. they've done different road courses like that. And,
I'm sure if there's one they can find that fits that that short track vibe that they're kind of, because I think that's a major thing about SRX.
What about Lime Rock?
I don't know. I don't know too much about that to say that.
Like Lime Rock would be the
what's the Lime Rock, I don't know what the
you
local
can do like
vibe is there.
You can do Lime Rock's in Connecticut. I mean, it's modified country. You get a bunch of modified driver, or you get a bunch of Cup drivers and IndyCar drivers. Like it's
I wouldn't
right
want,
in the
you know
wheelhouse.
what? I hope they don't do that, because that's when it's going to fail, I think.
No way, man.
I would love to get Gorino. I would love to hear what he has to say about that. But like, I feel like an old guy would say, that's what I'm thinking. Like an old fan, like one of those modified fans would say, no, I'm not going to a road course. But some of them might say, hey, I love going to Watkins. I'd love to do that. I don't know. I hope they don't. I don't know. I think they should not fix if it's not broken, don't fix it.
I know. I'm trying to answer a question that hasn't been asked yet.
Well, yeah, it's true, because
right.
I'm worried.
Nobody's really worried.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just seeing
next
the writing
season
of
is
the
like
wall.
everyone doesn't watch it. Like they do it, they build up for 2022. Then it's just like everyone's like, nah.
Well, couldn't you imagine? Like,
we'll see once the second season
it's
hits.
Like, holy shit! How did you get that right?
Yeah. Because that could happen. We'll see how this one ends. It's only halfway through.
I think there's a novel.
Maybe it's the nostalgia that's the novelty in my head.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it only goes so far.
Yeah,
it only goes so far, and then you need something else. But I liked seeing like Hailie Deegan go against Michael Waltrip, because those are like two totally different eras, but they enjoyed racing with, like, after the race they were like, hey, I like that, and that I like that vibe. I like that positivity. I'm like, hey, you know what? I vibe with that. I enjoy that. It makes me feel good inside. So I would, but some people might not give a damn about that, and then that's because I think that's what will potentially save the SRX, is that they keep up with the mix of the young versus the old, and then here you are cheering for Smoke or Paul Tracy because you're from back in the day, and then they're taking on Deegan or a Kobe or something like that. Yeah, and that could save it. Yes. And I think just keep mixing that up. I think they need to keep it relevant, because there'll always be new drivers, and there'll always be drivers retiring that are current, guys. Like, let's say if it's still around drivers, a couple years, right? And you don't want anybody under 5 years of retirement. So a guy who retired last year, you don't want him in. So you want anybody 5 years or more, and then you want current drivers. Mm-hmm. I think that's the mix, right? Like, look at all of the drivers in SRX that are retired. When was the last time they competitively raced? Greg Biffle. Competitively. I don't know. That's. I'm going to say Paul Tracy would have been 20. Willie T. Ribbs is the longest. Dan Weldon died in 2011. Was it that? Or 2012. So like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. He legitimately hasn't. I don't think Paul Tracy's raced a thing. That's it for me. Yeah, that's kind of. I was like, wow, like Paul Tracy. That scared him. Rightfully so. He was involved in the wreck, but like that's a guy who's a big guy on the track. Well, and he wasn't running like he used to. And I think it was right. I think it was like time to seeing that and just being like, "What the hell am I doing here?" Like, right? Yeah, I'm risking my life for what? And he's not winning championships and whatnot. But anyways, we'll see. When was the last time Biffle won a race? Like, raced at a high competitive level? At a high competitive level, yeah. I don't know, since he was in Cup? A few years, yeah. Willie T, what's he like? 40 years? Like 30 years? I don't know. Or
About 15 or so for him, yeah.
Yeah, Bill Elliott. I know has been
15,
racing
20
dirt.
years.
I think.
Well, yeah,
But
right. Yeah, the side stuff. Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't want to discount that because those guys they race against are good racers. But
I think we'll just have to see. We'll just have to, maybe at the end of the season we'll revisit this, and I think we'll give it that couple more races to figure that out, because maybe we will want Bill Elliott to stay in in 3 weeks.
I'm gonna get killed on this. Like, I'm not trying to put any of those guys down there.
I know you're good.
Yeah. And I love seeing Bill Elliott out there, and I love seeing Michael out there, and I like that. I think that's really cool. I think I'm enjoying it so much that I'm looking down the road, being like, what can they do to make sure that this stays what it is?
Yeah, we'll have to definitely revisit that down the road. Because I think we've talked a lot about SRX since it started, and I definitely think that's a good. There's so much about it I'm curious about, and yeah, like it's like, how is this? How do you have you guys figured any of this? It seems like, have they even figured any of this out themselves? It's like sometimes they're figuring shit out as it's happening on track, like during the race. It's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
like so. Yeah. We'll see. But to wrap up this here, just for the next few minutes, let's talk about local Canadian stuff.
Yeah.
Yay. Everyone turns out.
Yay.
Couple things here. As the APC United season and the NASCAR 50 series and just starting up, so we're going to start talking about it. NASCAR, a couple things this past week. NASCAR 50 Series welcoming back Canadian Tire to the series as official retailer of NASCAR in Canada, and MotoMaster batteries becoming the official battery of the NASCAR 50 Series. As part of the partnership, Canadian Tire and MotoMaster batteries will each be a race entitlement sponsor for the 2020 season. And that'll be at the Canadian Tire 150 at Chaudière, and on August 29th, the MotoMaster Batteries 125 at Flamborough on the September of the 12th. So some good deals there. Good to see some names come back, and that's good. Canadian Tire having a rich motorsports history and having sponsored the Pinty Series from its first year since NASCAR took it over, and the obviously involvement before too, but with CASCAR.
Yeah.
The company has also served as the facility naming rights for obviously most sports, so that's since 2012. They're invested, so that's good to see them. Good to see them in.
Yeah, it is. It is nice to see that
also
kind of support.
Also, and this is translated from French, folks, so I'll try my best. Le Rider from Roxton Pond. No, the Rider. That's I guess that's his name. The Rider from Roxton Pond. I don't know if that's translated right.
I don't know.
Rick Ware Racing, an American team based from North Carolina. They're going to establish themselves here in Canada. Owner of the biggest small team in motorsport, as they call themselves. Rick Ware himself has raced in NASCAR in the United States, so with them having involvement with the Cup, Xfinity, and IndyCar cars. Coming up to the Pinty Series is great, with Andrew Ranger, who lost his major sponsor Mopar in March of 2020. However, Mopar will continue to be involved with the champion of the 2019 season by supplying the engine to the Dodge Challenger number 51. Everything's backwards, freaking French. That the latter will drive. These guys, and they were just testing at Sunset just by you. And that'll be starting in August. So it's cool to see Rick Ware in the Pinty Series. I'm really looking forward to hoping to interview catch someone
They're
at the track.
everywhere.
Yeah, and just seeing that come into that's really good for the Pinty Series, because it's like that. There's many reasons why, but just to put it short, it's best for business that way. I feel like so.
Right.
And. This will also help Ranger kind of get back into it, and hoping that we're going to speak to him soon, hopefully, as well.
That'd be cool. That'd be great.
Raphael Lessard to sub in for Donald Teague at Sunset. Donald Teague has some injuries, so Lessard coming up. He's raced some truck and Xfinity races, so it'll be cool to see him come up for that race.
Mm-hmm.
And the United APC season is about to get started at Delaware Speedway, and they also have put in big upgrades there. New lighting system, just like at Jukasa, so they got a Musco lighting system. Looks great.
Nice.
Made it look a little bit better around the facility. New signage and stuff. So the new owners, their major investment to Delaware Speedway, and it's a 70-year-old half-mile paved track just west of London, one of Canada's oldest operating racetracks. And it's got some major improvements, so looking forward to coming out there at some point. Not looking like the media thing is going to happen for the July 2nd reopening race event, with a field full of cars for them, and hopefully lots of fans in the stands. They won't be able to obviously fill up their 10,000 person capacity, obviously due to the 25% limit in Ontario with our step 2, even though we could be in step 3, but that's a different podcast. But yeah, so the former owners decided to sell with guys with deeper pockets, and that's good to see. I'm hoping to also get into some late model action ourselves, hoping to venture out into that and just look at a different, obviously with us getting into the late models and iRacing now, I think I've caught the bug maybe.
Now you get it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can talk to some of the drivers in that series and be able to make it out to some of their later events in September. But there are there's also a race at Flamborough in a couple weeks as well, mid to the end of July. So make sure if you're listening in Ontario, and if it's feasible, Ontario's big, Southern Ontario, or hey, you want to mission out from Northern Ontario all the way down here, feel free to buy a ticket at one of their websites, and got to get people back to the tracks. It's going to be real important for them. So real important to support your local track in these times.
Yeah, definitely, because we don't, once they're gone,
it's hard to get them back.
They don't come back.
Yeah. And luckily enough, we haven't really lost. It hasn't been too bad for us, other than losing some races. But yeah, we'll hopefully see you down this weekend at Delaware Speedway, just outside of London. Permitting some things, we'll be able to hopefully come out down there and talk to some drivers, take some photos, and maybe run into some fans. So make sure you head on down to Delaware Speedway this weekend for the round 1 of the APC Late Model United Series. Also, check us out on www.thewideworldofmotorsportspodcast.wordpress.com, where we are now hosting all of our episodes of the Wide World of Motorsports podcast, as well as the Wide World of Motorsports esports team on iRacing. That's it. We'll see you around the bend, folks.
Hi, this is Alex Tagliani, NASCAR Pinty Series driver. You're tuned in from the track to the community on Wide World of Motorsports, the #1 motorsport show in the community.